Okay, remember for evidence pairs that it's really important that we kind of just stay organized as best we can. Now, one challenge of this that isn't kind of reflected on my work here is on the actual test, the questions 5 and 6 are separated by a page. That's intentional. They do that a lot because they kind of want you to try to do 5 without the benefit of 6. And so that's why we always need to, whenever there's a no line reference question, we always have to look at the next question and see, maybe it's a pair, maybe they go together, because if we do that, we can see that we actually do have 4 line references to look at, and that gives us a little bit better of a process. So make sure you always flip to the next page and make sure. So that means we're going to use the QLC method as always, but for the evidence pairs, that means we're kind of jumping between the two questions. So the first thing we want to do is read question 5 and make sure we understand what we're looking for. We want to look at the passage with purpose and not just kind of blindly reading lines. So what do they say? According to the narrator, one consequence of Silas adopting Epi. So I need a line that talks about a consequence of Silas adopting Epi. Pretty straightforward. Now let's go to the lines and see if we can find anything. So 9 through 11 is our first one here. 9 through 11, that's this right here. That's choice A. The gold had kept his thoughts in an ever-repeated circle, leading to nothing beyond itself. Well, that's about Silas, but that's about life before Epi. We want what happens after her. So this is wrong because it's not actually telling us the consequence of adopting her. It's telling us of what came before, and we want what came after. So this is not a good line reference. But look, the next one is just the next set of lines, so hopefully that's better. So this is 11 through, what is it, 16? 16. 11 through 16, a little bit longer. But Epi was an object compacted of changes and hopes that forced his thoughts onward and carried them far away from their old eager pacing toward the same blank limit, carried them away to the new things that would come with the coming years. Okay, so the one thing I'm also going to highlight here is carried them far away and carried them away, right? It's not a coincidence that that idea is being repeated. That means it's important. Main ideas are repeated ideas. But this is absolutely a consequence, right? What happened after he adopted her? His thoughts were forced onwards and carried away. I don't really know what that means, but it's clearly like an answer to the question in number 5. So choice B here is looking pretty good. Let's look at 41 to 43, though. Let's look at 61 to 63. We really don't know yet if that's the only possible answer. So 41 to 43 gets us over here. And let's see. Then she would turn her ear to some sudden bird note, and Silas learned to please her by making signs of hushed stillness. Okay, so maybe a consequence is that he learned something and he was quiet? I don't know. This one seems weird, but I guess I can make it fit, so I'm going to just write something about being quiet. I don't know. This one, we could write onwards. We can keep track, right? That was the main idea there. 61 to 63. Down here. Shapes and sounds grew clearer for Epi's eyes and ears, and there was more that Dad was imperatively required to notice and account for. So, okay, one consequence is that he's noticing more things. I don't know. This seems to me to be more about Epi than it is about Silas, but you can see, like, I can kind of make it fit. And so that's okay. Our job at this stage of the process, right, the line reference stage of this, is not to necessarily come up with one line reference that we think is right. It's to just eliminate the garbage. Choice A was garbage. Choice B is my favorite, but I haven't eliminated C and D, and I could have to change my favorite depending on what the choices in number 5 tell me. And so now I'm looking for that ultimate match. I want everything to kind of line up. So let's look at 5. He has renounced all desire for money. No. Way too strong. Right? First of all, we didn't read that. Right? We didn't read that he gave up money, but also that is a very, very strong phrase. Even if I hadn't read any of the lines, I would still be very suspicious of that because that word all is doing a lot of work there. So we would need real proof that he has literally zero desire for money anymore. And I don't think anyone exists for like that. So let's look at B. Better understands his place in nature. I don't remember nature really coming up at all. There's also his place in nature. The stillness thing. He gets to notice more. So maybe I could kind of make C or D fit with that. But notice how I didn't pull nature out of those lines when I read them at first. So that's not a great sign. If nature were really one of the main ideas there, that's something I would have pulled out. I'm kind of trying to justify it now to make it fit. But that's not great. That shouldn't have to happen. Let's see, though. Let's see if C or D are better. Seems more accepting of help from others. No. Other people are definitely not mentioned. That's definitely wrong. Other people, not part of this. Just Epi and Silas. D, it looks forward to a different kind of future. Well, yeah. I mean, let's go back to this line. Future is definitely what this is about. His hopes are forced onwards. He's carried away from the old way of doing things toward the same blank limit, the camera to the new things that would come in the coming years. Like, oh my gosh, it's basically saying future without using the word. So this is definitely the answer. His thoughts are carried onwards. He's thinking about the future. That is 100% it. So I'm picking line reference B here, not because it was my favorite before, but because now I've found I've got a match. And so I'm certain. Before I was pretty sure, but that could have changed. Right now I'm certain because I have a match between these two choices and the original question. Everything kind of lines up neatly, and I feel confident in this. It's a hard question, but that's the importance of the QLC method, is it lets us follow a process and eliminate choices slowly and find a match, and that way we're focused on just small things, little things at a time, so we're not holding too much in our heads. That's the key. Follow the process. It takes time at first, but you'll get good at it, and you're much more likely to get these complicated multi-part questions correct.